evening, and welcome to yet another edition of the Warrior SuperCast, the podcast for the Wintonwood School District, highlighting those superstars of the district. Welcome to a brand new year here, and I am very fortunate to have some new faces here at the table, two new teachers for the Winton Woods High School. I have Janine Hunchy, who is a Winton Woods math teacher, and I also have Jamie Hoke, who is the Spanish teacher at Winton Woods High School. Glad that you could both join us today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, the first and foremost, let's get the past in the past. You are obviously brand new teachers here to the district. Where are you coming from, so we can kind of lay a groundwork where you've come from, so that we can talk about where we're going.
All right.
Janine?
I spent time in other high schools, William Henry Harrison High School and Glen Estee High School, and the last 16 years I was at Indian Hill High School. So I have quite a bit of teaching experience in other districts, but this is my first year here at Winton Woods.
You have a great, we'll say a great resume, although you did say that you've spent your time. It makes it sound like...
Spent my time.
And Jamie, your past and how would we gain for our future?
Okay, so I first started teaching in South Carolina. I'm actually from Indianapolis, but I taught in South Carolina for 7 years. And then I went and moved back to Indianapolis. I taught there for 2, and then now I'm here at Winton Woods.
Of course, our main concern is that, that you have joined our Warrior Nation here, and we're very thankful for that. What made you come here? Obviously, we could all say the infamous, I needed a job, but obviously there was some great gem or beacon that guided you to come to Winton Woods. Jamie, what was that draw?
Well, first, I just, my husband needed to transfer over to Cincinnati, and so I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about any of the schools. So I, from the jobs that were needing a position for Spanish, I looked at Winton Woods, and it was definitely the type of students I work with the best, and it just seemed like it had everything going on. Their website was really up to date, and it just seemed like Winton Woods was a place for me.
That is interesting that, first of all, it was your husband's draw to get you here, but of course, it was something that seemed familiar to you to go to Winton Woods. Janine, interesting, of course, you've spent a lot of time here within the area, so you are familiar with the Winton Woods School District. What was that draw to say, I'm going to leave my tenure of 16 and to come to Winton Woods? I
had met Dr. Holden when I taught at Glen Estee High School. She was principal. And she was a great instructional leader, still is. And I knew that I was ready for a change, and I felt that good things must be happening at Winton Woods because she was in charge of teaching and learning. So I delved into what was going on at Winton Woods, and the PBL definitely was a draw. You're going right into the area in which we needed to start discussing is PBL and the new tech network that's going on here at the Winton Woods School District. Obviously, that's going to be something new when you're looking at possible new positions, and this being that opportunity. What was your initial thought when you saw this, that it is a new tech network school and their basis is fully on project-based learning? How did that... Obviously, it didn't intimidate you because you were here with us, but how did that interview go when it came to, I'll be honest, I've never done this before. Well, I had done lots of projects in the past, especially with like the free food bank and crayons to computers with students at other districts. So we looked at their business problems and tried to find better models so that they could reach out to more people, more food deserts for the food bank, and crayons to computers generate more supplies for the kids in the area. So I was used to looking at projects in a mathematical sort of way so that we could benefit people. What I wasn't used to was having the learning embedded in the projects like they do here at Winton Woods. I'm used to teaching something and then a big project at the end where the kids were able to show off what they knew instead of the project driving the learning. So it was quite a paradigm shift. Sure. Jamie, same idea. Obviously, brand new school, but also a brand new learning structure. How does that affect you as a newbie here?
Well, I've never heard of the New Tech Network at all, so I was like, I don't know what that is. But it's really awesome. I'm really into it. I love the PBL. I've heard PBL. It's a buzzword around education, but I never really delved deeper into it. However, here I agree with Ms. Hunchy that the instruction is embedded into the project. So instead of just the traditional way of teaching, project, teaching, project, it's a lot more fun. And now that we can include authentic resources, audiences, and we can really get into the community and have them involved with the students, I think it makes it a lot more authentic and helpful for the kids.
We have reached halfway into the school year. Obviously, you've both looked at your original lesson plans at the beginning of the year to where you are today. How has that evolved? And then how do you foresee it evolving to next year, where you'll have been a full year involved within the Wittenwood School District? Hopefully it has not scared you away. Jamie?
Honestly, it's been a lot easier to plan.
Sure.
Because I'm able to have a big concept, and then I can think about, okay, what do I need to do? Or I can think of, since it's Spanish, a more grammatical concept, and think, who could I include to make this even better? So it was a little rough at the beginning because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then now it's like, oh, okay, I got it. I have a good grasp. And now for next year, I know it could only be better.
Excellent. Same idea.
Well, this year there was so much front loading because everything really has to be planned before the kids even see the hook to get them engaged in the project. And I feel like next year I'll be able to look at the activities and do a lot more tiering. So kids that need extra help can jump on a different tier and get to their goal. Or kids that need a little extra because maybe things come a little easier to them, will have a little more tiering so they can be stretched.
Sure. You are listening and watching the Warrior Supercast here on Waycross Community Media. I am joined with Mrs. Hunchy and Mrs. Hogue, both Wittenwood's high school teachers, learning the new technology just as your students are as well. I'm going to throw out a question here going with the idea of the traditional method. You've been kind of raised and taught that way. Are you ready to forfeit those ideas and move into the complete project-based learning, or are you still holding on to some of those traditional methods to get you over and above where you need to be when it comes to teaching in the new tech arena?
I think, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, take it.
The traditional has definitely set us up well, I feel like, just because we both have been teaching for a while, so I feel that we know our content, we know different ways on how to give and differentiate the instruction. So now PBL gives us a new, fresh opportunity to change what we've always been doing into something new. So I really feel that this PBL and the New Tech Network, if we keep along and keep going, I feel like it will really impact the students for the better.
Excellent.
I feel that this has really made teaching more exciting for me because the kids are more excited about the learning. And my projects have been based on more career-based, so map makers for an activity in math, or anesthesiologists is what we're doing now with some rational expressions. And honestly, it's really cool to see how the math ties into the careers, and it's really easy to get people from the community to come in and talk about their careers and how they use the math. And I feel like even if the kid isn't going to be an anesthesiologist, it's really nice for him to know how math is used, applied, and meaningful.
You're kind of going into the next arena that I was going to, Janine, the idea of taking your discipline, math, Spanish, looking at it in a means of project-based learning now. How does that change? You're talking about that career involvement. I think that is not something I would have thought about, especially anesthesiologists. Map making, my best friend just did a little happy dance because he wishes he could be a map maker. But it's something you don't hear every day.
Right.
But you're showing that math is a part of involvement in varying careers. Are there other pieces of your discipline and Jamie will ask you the same question here, that project-based learning has actually brought out of the student, but also brought out of you as well.
Well, I've never really looked at topics and put them together so that there's a big emphasis on how do we use the math. Kids would always say, when are we ever going to use this? When are we ever going to see this? And now they don't ask that anymore, because at the introduction of the project, they see exactly how it's used and why, and it really has, piqued their interest.
Great.
For Spanish, we can do so many things, and food is usually a big one. But now that I can use Spanish and they can really see that it is useful in any area of life. We're about to do a medical project, and I was trying to hook up with the Shriners Hospital, but we've hit a few snags, so I turned to the school nurse, and she could use a couple things to help with the information for students, and especially students that aren't really well with English, and they don't do really well. So it's been really fun, and it allows, just like Ms. Hunchy said, it allows you to get more excited, and the students can get more excited, and they can actually see, oh, this is when I'm going to use this. So and since Spanish is another way to communicate, it just opens up their world to, they just doubled the amount of people they can talk to.
Communication skills, skills for the future. I liked this question, and I think I'm going to ask this as the last question because we are running down to a bit of our time. Janine, you had said they don't ask, how do I apply this in my life anymore? They don't. What do you feel the students are asking now? What are they desiring now? Obviously, they want to know, what am I going to get out of it? That's ultimately what that question is ever asking. However, now you're seeing that shift, that the children are engaged more. What is that shift in that question now as to what am I going to get out of this? What are they asking now?
Well, we have a section of what do we know, what do we need to know? And I've never really approached teaching like that, where kids are asking, hey, I need to know this, I need to know that. And so that requires the teacher scramble, I call it, where they're actually, gosh, that's a great question, let's investigate that. And so they can really take something that they're interested in that maybe others in the class aren't, but it's definitely a reflection of the project. And they can go in their own direction, and we can design a separate little offshoot of a project for them. So, the kids that were really into the map making, there's some colleges out that are really looking for students who want to be map makers. It's a big, big discipline right now in the University of Wisconsin. Who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew? Right. So, it is nice that the kids are investigating some things that careers that they've never really even thought about.
That's great. Jamie?
The question I get is, when are we going?
I thought it was going to be, what are we eating?
Oh, well, that too. When are we going to the restaurants? It would be really awesome if I could get the funding to do a trip, because a lot of them are just so expensive, and then some of the dangers of going to a different country. But the students are just really excited, and they just they're just asking questions that you wouldn't have thought. And now that we can do the PBL, and she said the map making, now they can really see that law enforcement needs Spanish, and medicine needs Spanish. And so those are two places that will always have people, always need more people. And so they really do now understand that being bilingual is super profitable, and it's important.
Okay, so I lied. There's going to be one last question, and we'll make it a quick one here. You've seen the changes in the students. What changes next? I stumped them. I'm finally done. I've been waiting to do this moment for a long time.
I think it would be really neat if the kids hear something on the news or that they want to investigate, and maybe they come with knows and needs to knows, and we can design a project around what they're curious about.
For me, I think it would be just the professional side of the PBL. because the students are always going to find more and new and better ways to learn and different ways to learn. So I feel that as a teacher, I have to make sure that I am on it and get all the professional development I need and ask all the right questions and make sure I'm there for my students.
See, and then she opens up 5 other questions I need to ask, but we're going to save that for another
Next
time
time.
because I would like to come back at your 1-year anniversary and we'll discuss what has happened, how have you evolved as a teacher, and what you see New Tech and the Warriors going forward.
Sounds like fun.
Janine, Jamie, thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Thanks for having us.
And I'd like to thank you for joining us as well. Of course, we are never without information here about the Winton Woods School District. Of course, our big important part of involvement is March 22nd. That is our second annual Night of Freedom, surtitled Rise Up. It is from 5:30 to 8:30 at the Cincinnati Freedom Center. It is everyone's favorite 4-letter word, free. Please join us. If you need any more information, you can always go to the website, wintonwoods.org. That has all the information there. Again, my name is Jason Grisgorg. You have been watching and listening to the Warrior SuperCast, the podcast for the Winton Woods School District, highlighting those superstars of the district. Have a great evening. We'll see you next month.